Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Midday Live on TV3 with me, Portia Solomon. Coming up, police administration starts compiling data on all legally imported guns from 1980 to date to track sources of guns used for crimes in the country. Coming up in international news, Nigeria's army began operations against militant Islamists in the northeastern part of the country. So details coming up shortly. Do stay with us. In our very first story, the police administration says it has begun compiling data on all legally imported guns from 1980 to date to track sources of guns used for crimes in the country. Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department, COP Prosper Aglo, hinted the service is reviewing its strategy on clamping down on arms trade. A report by Edward Kwabi.
Arms trade persists despite its illegality. The increasing rate of the use of these arms in criminal acts is a worry to many, and the police administration is also worried.
Problems we are having in the country is basically with the locally manufactured weapons, because majority of the weapons found at scenes of crime are the locally manufactured ones. It is worrying because the criminals wouldn't want to use the shotguns. They are not comfortable with carrying them. So we don't have problem with the shotguns at all because they are bulky.
The Director General of CID, COP Prosper Aglo, says the service is adopting other intelligence strategies to trace gun distribution across the country.
The customs, in fact, we've been collaborating a lot. We've had cases where the customs have seized weapons and then they handed them over to us for our investigations. So we have scanners, and once it is detected that there is a weapon in your, you'll be arrested first and foremost. We have a registry, and currently we are computerizing that registry. So we are in the process of automating the registration of arms and ammunition.
He also spoke about the illegal production of guns locally.
The law prohibits the manufacture of guns locally. What the law permits is the servicing of weapons. So blacksmiths are licensed to service weapons that have been lawfully imported into the country and registered, but they are not allowed to manufacture weapons.
Available records show 54,302 guns have been registered with the police from 1980 to date, with a total of 6,700 in magazines of gun brokers yet to be sold.
In other news, traders at the Tema Central Market have closed down their shops as a result of wastewater gushing out of a sewage manhole. Over 200 shops and stores have been closed down.
Wastewater has been flowing through the market for the past 1 week. Traders have no option but to close down their shops. It is getting 1 week. We spotted them trying to fix it, but still the problem persists. City officials say the Tama sewage system needs to be replaced. After several years, they are however worried about negative practice by the public. Sometimes they remove solid materials including jeans, sanitary pad in the sewer lines, and this has caused the blockage. City authorities are already frustrated. Levies collected cannot fix the problem. Huge funds are needed to overhaul the system.
We are looking at what interventions can be done to resolve some of the challenges that are confronting us. That's basically what is in there. The sewer system has received some funding, some rehabilitations on piecemeal, but we want to look at what is left to be done.
The local government and rural development minister, Kwesi Oponfosu, visited the Tema market and admitted to the constraints.
And the danger in this is that if it's not coming to the surface, it's going into the underground water. So we need to look at wastewater treatment seriously, and the ministry, under my leadership, will partner with the TMA.
He directed the assembly to prioritize sanitation and waste management control in the metropolis.
We continue with our development story on fire disasters, and the Ghana National Fire Service says people who troop to fire outbreak scenes tamper with evidence. Director of Operations, Deputy Chief Fire Officer Albert Brown-Gacy told TV3 such interference affects fire investigations. A report by Josephine Frempon.
Although firemen are swift to fire scenes, it could take days for investigations to unravel anything. The long delays cause uneasy tension, which critics have challenged the service to overcome. But firemen are pointing accusing fingers at unsuspecting public who troop to fire scenes to tamper with evidence.
Once the place is tempered with fire, you must allow the appropriate agencies to conduct their investigations. Let me take this opportunity also to advise the public that they should cooperate with us and give us the free will to do our job. In the situation where you respond to fire outbreaks, to the extent that you have people trying to even take over command, public trying to take over delivery hoses from firemen, it doesn't help.
The public have also alleged firemen get to fire scenes without water in their engines. But the fire service boss has refuted the claims.
And once the service doesn't go out to buy water, but we take it from the hydrant, there is no way that we can ever get to the fire ground without water. It's a matter of hydraulics. Operating at a certain pressure level, using a particular size of a nozzle, gives you a certain pressure level that may be dispersed within a considerable period of about 5 minutes. In the situation where the same public that expresses to protect them are the same people who build on hydrants, are the same people who destroy the hydrants.
The service is retraining its officers to keep abreast with modern firefighting, investigation and reports writing. The 3-day training has begun in Tema and will be replicated in other regions in the country.
In other news, pilgrims to the 2013 Hajj will pay $3,450 each. About 7,000 Ghanaians are expected to embark on the annual religious journey.
The Muslim population of Ghana, per the last census, stands a little over 6 million. The annual ritual to Saudi Arabia's popular city has encountered challenges in the past, from acquisition of travel documents, payment of fees, camping and airlifting. Prospective pilgrims repeatedly go through difficult times to undertake the journey. Not even a permanent camping site introduced by the current administration is able to address the challenges fully. The press briefing outlined programs and the packages for the year.
Payments should not be made to any individual except through the accredited agents and directly into the committee's accounts. All payments must be made in the name of the prospective pilgrims as payer. Bulk payments are discouraged, but should it be necessary, bulk payments must be accompanied with a manifest on names of the prospective pilgrims.
A medical team will also be recruited to provide health care for the pilgrims. while there are plans to airlift pilgrims from Tamale if challenges at the Tamale runway are resolved to ensure every Muslim gets the opportunity. The National Hajj Chairman Abdul Ibrahim Tanko warned against malpractices.
Previous years, people came with the yellow card, the vaccination cards, trying to convince them they had inoculated, they took the vaccines. But investigations revealed that a lot of them did not. I think that it is not for nothing that they it's a requirement to get a visa to Saudi Arabia.
Ghana is expected to fly to Mecca some 6,780 prospective pilgrims.
To the labor front, where a research conducted by the Policy Institute of the Trades Union Congress has implicated the Chinese managers of the Bui Dam in flouting labor laws. According to the research, although progress has been made in improving working conditions at the site, workers' rights have been abused. A report by Daniel Opoku.
The research was conducted in 2008 and 2012. The research aimed at identifying working conditions at the Bui Power Project implicated the Chinese management for not providing adequate medical care and sick leave for workers. It also said the Chinese engaged in anti-union strategies and unfair labor practices and provided limited remuneration and motivation. The first of the research conducted in 2008, however, commended the Chinese for massive progress in the working conditions of employees. It also acknowledged the impressive contributions of the Chinese for signing of the collective bargaining agreement, but chastised them for misinterpreting the labor laws and the collective bargaining agreement. As of January 2013, about 1,836 employees were employed at the Bui Dam Power Project, out of which 91% are Ghanaians, 3% Chinese and 1% Pakistanis. The latest research conducted in 2012 says the Chinese have provided job security and sick and annual leave for employees. The management of the Bui Dam was happy about the progress made. The Secretary General of TUC, Kofi Asamoah, charged companies to respect the rights of workers.
And it is our expectation that all employers, including multinationals, should respect the rights of workers. Indeed, the refusal of employers to allow workers to form unions is really an affront on the workers and on workers' rights in this country.
The Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Nchibwe Siaku Setrie, asked employers to comply with the laws of the country.
Our ministry is going to ensure that this year compliance will be strengthened, and I want to use this forum to advise all employers and workers alike to go by the labor laws that all of us have crafted for ourselves. Because when we come into the net, we face the law at the law courts.
It's now time for us to focus on the election petition case, and this week the 4-member committee charged with coming out with ways to, well, before we take that story, the Supreme Court hearing the election petition on Thursday unanimously ruled against Chachu Chikat and 2 other respondents seeking to cross-examine 4 more persons who signed the petitioner's affidavit. And joining me is lawyer Dr. Maurice Ampao. He is the president of the Legal Advocacy Foundation, to briefly review proceedings this week. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's always a privilege to be in TV Africa and TV3, and then also greetings to your cherished viewers.
Okay, now this week, interesting happenings in the Supreme Court. One notable among them is the disagreement between the 2 justices. What does this tell us about how the nature of the case is going to span out?
Yes, very interesting indeed, and that clearly shows one thing, that the judges at times do disagree, and it will continue till the final determination of the matter. And I'm betting that at the end of the day, the 9 judges will determine matter based on their votes. Because you realize that the law as it is not certain. You don't have sensitivity of the law, because people express various views and opinions on the way out. And this also is a fresh and landmark case. It has never happened before, so we don't have a lot of precedents to guide the decision of the judges. So it will mainly based on the principles of law, the rules of equity, and also the various varied opinions that the judges will express. So definitely we are bound to have these, and it will end up in the final determination of the matter.
Is it not, should I say, not good that the final determination of the case is going to be based on votes?
No, that's exactly what happens, because you have now 9 panel members, and definitely each panel member might have to look at the evidence, look at the law, look at the petition, and then make a decision individually, because each judge over there is independent, and once he's independent, nobody interfere with his decision. So definitely that's what's going to happen, and if you have 9 independent minds, it's very difficult for you to have unanimous unless all of them are looking at the law from one aspect. But definitely there is going to be split decision, because we may have majority decision and then minority decision in this matter.
And then this week also, Chachu Chikata continued with cross-examination, and already there are some concerns that he's taken too long, about 11 days to cross-examine Dr. Bawumia.
You know, I rightly said in this program that Chachu may continue to the Kingdom Come, and people thought that it was just he is bound to continue. Definitely, let's give him up to next week. At least let's give Chachu maybe up to Wednesday, because at the end of the day, I realize that the Supreme Court judges are now using another tactics to manage him. One, they are making sure that he doesn't repeat his questions. Two, they are also looking at the relevance of those questions, and also they are also making sure that he does not unnecessarily prolong the cross-examination, but at the same time to allow Chachu to do his own thing, because he's also there to do a job by strategically undermining and then showing that Bawumia is not creditworthy. So we should not try to gag him in law or try to suppress him. It will be unfair.
But if it continues beyond the Wednesday,
then it means that there are more issues to be cross-examined on, and we should allow Chachu to cross-examine.
This week also, just yesterday, the judges unanimously ruled against Chachu Chikata about bringing in 4 more respondents who signed the petitioner's affidavit. Was that application needed?
Yes, it was needed. You don't realize that the respondent realized that the evidence of these 4 witnesses is doing a lot of havoc for their case. You know, it's making it very, very difficult, because they are making a claim that, look, under overvoting, the Electoral Commission annulled the results, and also without verification, they also annul the results. These are evidence which are watertight. Now, they've deposed these things in an affidavit, and then it has been confirmed. So the respondent strategy is to look, let us have them in the witness box, and let's try and do our best to discredit and damage that evidence, because if that happens and there's evidence to expect that even when there's one overvoting and one verification, one person did not verify and the election was nullified, then its effect is that it may affect the respondent case. So they attempt to try to recall these witnesses to be there in person. You realize that it was overruled by the Supreme Court judges. But it's interesting enough, that clearly shows that the Supreme Court judges, as they are the law unto themselves. They said the law is in the bosom of the judge. You realize that they are not bound by any law. You realize that Chachu cited the evidence degree, he cited so many authorities, cited the rules of the court. But you realize that every day, the Supreme Court judges said one thing. They demonstrated that as they sit there, the rules of evidence, they are above it. They are also above the law. The only thing that the Supreme Court judges are not about is the Constitution. That is the supreme law of the land. So if you want to stop the Supreme Court, what you need to do is start citing provisions of the Constitution, which they cannot, they dare not avoid, because then their action will be unconstitutional. So what is happening is that you realize that they were looking at it from the angle that they have enough evidence. So whatever cross-examination is going to come out of the 4 witnesses will not affect that evidence. And also, they were saying that time. You realize that only Bawumia, Chachu Chikata has spent more than 11 days. Then if you have about 4 witnesses, then you are getting to about 4 years. So that's what they want to avoid. That, look, there is no evidence for them to help make a final determination of the matter. And
then we also saw this week that KPMG refused to charge for services being rendered in auditing the pink sheets. Good sign?
Very, very good sign. Do you know, I think they were looking at it from this angle, the amount of money, and then the corporate social responsibility. Look, let's do this to make history, because it's the first time it's going to the records. You know, the records of the Supreme Court proceedings will show that they were nominated, approved mostly by the parties, and then they also did not charge. So at least it's good for them, it's good for public image, and it's good for the marketing and adverts as well.
How do you think the case will pan out next week?
Next week, let's look at more. You know, there's an objection pending, and I'm sure the Supreme Court will deal with this objection as quickly as possible, and then Chachu will definitely continue. We are praying that this time there will not be a lot of objections, but because these objections normally do not allow the free flow of the cases. But it's good, because you see, Philip Addison is doing a very good job. He's trying to prevent Chachu from flowing, and it's very irritating, but that's the game. When you realize that your opponent is trying to do a good case, you try to object, and when you do that, it puts pressure on your opponent, and then it makes mistakes. So let's hope that by next week, Chachu should be able to bring the examination to an end.
From what we're witnessing now, is this case going to delay, or we could just be done with it in a matter of time?
No. From now, what I'm witnessing now, the case will not delay, because the judges are now managing the case very well. They are looking at issues critically. They are taking decisions to fast track the cases, and they are not going to allow delay. So you realize that even when it comes to questions, they are looking at the relevance of those questions, they are looking at the repetition of those questions, and they are looking at the issues that is at stake, and then also they are looking at the expeditious trial of the case. So this case will not travel. I can predict that at least by the first week or the July, we should be able to bring this case to an end.
Thank you very much. We've been speaking to lawyer Dr. Maurice Ampao. He is the president of the Legal Advocacy Foundation, and we have been reviewing proceedings at the Supreme Court this week. We continue with the rest of our stories, and the 4-member committee charged with coming out with ways to address the grievances of striking pharmacists have 30 days to present its report to the presidency. The report is expected to contain ways of implementing the convention difference and grade structure of the pharmacist. A report by Daniel Opoku.
On 15 May 2013, the Ministry of Health inaugurated a 4-member committee to deliberate on the issues of the striking pharmacists. The committee is expected to discuss payments of conversion difference, grade structure, and entry levels of the pharmacists. Already, the committee has spent 10 days out of the 30 expected, and the concern is that it may not be able to discharge its mandate. The Deputy Minister of Employment, Nchibwe Siako, however, disagrees.
To my mind, the 30 days starts from yesterday when the committee was inaugurated. That is the understanding all of us had. So we believe that within that 30 days, we'll be able to come out with our report for His Excellency to take a position.
The committee is therefore under pressure to present its report to the presidency within 30 days.
We cannot discuss these matters on the radio or television. It is a social dialogue between the contending social partners. So we cannot deal with it in the media. We will deal with it at the negotiation table.
You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. It's now time for What Do You Think?
It is currently become like a local parlance where everybody says, oh, Mema Dumso, and now it's called, well, the Dumso saga. We'll find out exactly what is happening in your neighborhood. Several deadline shifts by government. Currently, what we know is that April, it was supposed to end. What exactly is happening to your area, and what do you think?
For now, the electricity, the lights are stable. It's just that some of the faces go on and off. That's a problem now.
There's off and on electricity. In fact, we are suffering from our Kasua sometimes 1 week without electricity. We don't know what is happening, but anyway, if it's going to be better in future.
Well, as our area, we don't have any load shedding anymore.
Sometimes we get a load shedding problem. I think we should expect something better from maybe next month going.
They'll be offering the lights, but this time it's better than the first.
Station now is okay. It's okay now. For about 2 or 3 weeks now, I haven't seen Dumso in my area, so it's okay. It's better.
You can also send us your comments Facebook or twitter.com/news on TV3. We now take a quick break. Don't go away.
Standing one.
Hello again, it's now time for business and Kweku Timin is standing by. Kweku, what's going to happen to employers who pay workers below the minimum wage?
Well, Pasha, the tripartite committee, which is supposedly the institution that works on the minimum wage, is now warning that, of course, we've brought out the minimum wage, but for employers who would not want to abide by it, then we will ensure sanctions and we will take tough measures against them. We will find out the modalities with which they'll take those tough measures when we hit our business circles this afternoon. So straight to our headline business story, and here the National Tripartite Committee on Minimum Wage says it will deal ruthlessly with recalcitrant employers who underpay employers. The committee has the backing of the Employment Ministry, which has cautioned employers to stop abusing the rights of workers. The details is with Daniel Opoku.
The National Tripartite Committee pegged this year's minimum wage at 5 cedis 24 pesos, an increment over last year's figure of 4 cedis 48 pesos. In 2008, it was 2 cedis 25 pesos and was increased to 2 cedis 65 pesos in 2009. 2010 saw a further increment of 3 cedis 11 pesos over the 2009 figure. So far, the minimum wage over the years has increased by about 91%. However, some companies and employers have failed to comply with the implementation.
Some of them do not even have contract of employment. They just say work. Others do not even have a wage. They give you as and when they think they have. Others also want to exploit the labor law by getting casual laborers. And whilst our law is saying that you cannot engage a worker as a casual labor beyond 6 months, they employ you 5 months, 2 weeks, and they lay you off. And then they re-engage you so that they can go away with the 6 months. So you continue to be casual and they pay you what they want instead of getting you a contract of employment for you to be a permanent worker to enjoy all the conditions that others are enjoying. Meanwhile, you are doing that work as any other worker in the workplace, but you are being exploited. We need to do our best to stop that.
Some labor experts blamed government for failing to crack the whip on employers. Currently, the National Tripartite Committee is to begin routine checks on companies which fail to implement the minimum wage.
There are a lot of people who are paying below the minimum wage, and we are telling them from this forum that they should change their mind, because the Tripartite Committee has decided to form joint teams to do inspections on recalcitrant workplaces which hide behind and just exploit workers of this country.
The Secretary General of TUC, Kofi Asamoah, asked government to strengthen laws that protect workers.
Very shortly, I'll tell you about the precious metal gold. But even before then, let me take you to the international market. Let's see how gold has marginally seen a decline on the market. Now, there you go. In and around a few minutes ago, gold saw that drop. Just compare it to yesterday. It was around $27 US drop. Now, it's currently minimized about 5.59 US dollars, and then currently with a price of $1,380.50. $1.38 US, and courtesy Bloomberg commodity prices, we're getting these figures. But if you hit the local front, many of the youth are lured into illegal mining due to poverty, ignorance, and the get-rich-quick attitude. Now, though the social impact may be negative, the illegal activity is an important source of sustenance for hundreds of youth. Now, my colleague Thomas Kwesi Asante will give you more details on this particular development.
A cursory look at the small-scale mining sector in the country today indicates an influx of the youth. The negative implications, especially the high rate of school dropouts notwithstanding, many are compelled to join. Many come from distant places and are happy to be engaged in the sector as errand boys and laborers. This 17-year-old has come all the way from the Volta region.
I am here to learn how to operate an excavator. I earn 50 cedis a day and 300 cedis per month. 3 million. I am all right here at the site and very content with what I earn.
Many teenagers are engaged in the search for gold at Gomwa Ejumako. Their leader told me why they are in the business.
I have completed junior high school, but for lack of funds, I want to do this job to gain something to enable me to move on in life.
These younger ones were also eager to speak to our cameras.
Money, I spend it on clothes and footwear and spend the rest on food. Here because we are on vacation, I get 1.4 or 1.3 between 22 and 30 cedis on the average.
The question is, who is monitoring these youth to ensure that their education is not adversely affected?
So very shortly, we're moving into our world of investments, and here we've seen a marginal inch up of inflation moving up to 10.6 away from 10.4. So what impact would it get on the various markets? Maybe looking at money markets instruments, so looking particularly at your investments at the equity market. Well, joining me is Yao Edukranting. He's a research analyst with NDK. Yao, thanks for joining us once again. It's a Friday, and we should say that investments should look good. But what would you make of inflation just inching up marginally? What are its trickling effects? Some time past, we were looking at inflation at a single digits quite for some time. Now, gradual inching up, what could be the factors?
I think the main factor for the increase in inflation for a while now has been from the exchange, because our city has been really declining, and we are mostly a country with we are mostly dependent on importation. If you look at the figures that really trickling, you realize that there has been a very sharp increase in especially non-food items. Because even if you look at the CPI for the month of April, realize that non-food inflation went up while food inflation even went down.
It's quite interesting. Now, I'll just try to relate it to the markets. We've tried to see a lot of stability with the equity markets, economic stability with various economic indicators, with inflation and the like. This trend of a gradual inching up of inflation, probably from the month of April down May, does it communicate something to us? Is there something we need to watch out for, especially around this time?
Well, I think it's generally it's a trend that really happens almost every year. Within the middle of the year, we see inflation inching up a little bit, but then the biggest part comes at the end of the year. So, but then I think it's not any big thing. It's not
but even with elections and the like, we still manage to maintain a single-digit inflation in and around the time. So it's quite surprising that gradually we're inching up. But of course, like
inflation really is like it's on a year-on-year basis.
Okay.
So we're looking at prices in April 2012 and prices in April 2013. So that even though there might be increases maybe during the period of elections, but it will reflect in this in this rate as you compare to what we have in the previous year. So it's not necessarily, although we went to elections and prices really went up, but then the period for the for the CPI is year on year. So if we are comparing prices in April 2012 to prices in April 2013, so that is the rate of increase in general prices, not just even 1 or 2 or 3 commodities, but in general all prices. So it's not just, you know, maybe then we can see that even in the communication sector, inflation has really been very low, and then, you know, in the transport sector it's been quite, you know, up and down. But then that's how the inflation rates really go.
Okay, for some time now we've been trying to check the baskets for measuring inflation, and that's one thing that has come up. We still have video cassette players, which realistically is non-existent somewhat in the basket. Reviewing the baskets now, what would you say? Do you think it's long overdue?
I think from the indication we had is that the statistical service will come up with a new basket that will be used for the calculation of inflation for the month of May. So let's look out for the next figures and see how.
All right, the month of May, we're checking up what the new inflation basket would look like, which commodities or which items will be taken out and which ones will be brought on. But like I talked about, video cassette players are actually a little bit non-existent right now on the market, so these should be checked. I'll give you the opportunity to review the market for us, just a little bit of last week till this time.
Well, last week, let me start from the currency. The Ghana cedi has been performing very well. It's gone up about 1.34% to the US dollar.
So there are fluctuations there.
Yeah, it's gone up about 1.34% to the US dollar, and then to the others it's been very good. I mean, ranging from 2.6% to 3.4% to the other currencies. So I think what the central bank said that was going to tighten up and going to, you know, come up with more measures to stem the trend that happened, you know, mid-April. So I think now it's been quite good. So we're hoping for the trend to continue for the coming week. Looking at the stock market so far, the stock market is still about 53% year to date on the general market, and then for the financial stocks, it's about 56%. And
quite interesting. Everybody seems to be talking about Cowbank.
It's been a stock that, you know, is really coming up. It's really coming off. You know, it's gone above the 100% year-to-date mark.
Okay.
So, you know, it's really drawn the attention of most people. And it's only Cowbank that's gone. So if you ask any investor with Goil, and if those who bought stake in Goil for like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, they should really be smiling by now.
They'll be enjoying huge and bigger dividends and profits. Well, that's about it for the business segment this afternoon. Yao Edukranton, thank you very much for joining us. Yao Edukranton is from NDK. He joined us to discuss with us issues on the equity market and also look at other economic indicators like the inflation. My name is Kweku Timin. I brought you business. We'll go back, we'll take some sports updates, and then there will be some international stories for you. Do stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Hello again, it's now time for sports, and Joel Champon is standing by. Joel, what do you have for us today?
Well, I'll be running by viewers the match day 27 of the Globe Premier League fixtures. Interesting fixtures there in the Globe Premier League. And also Ghana's Strongest Season 2, the final eliminator. The 30 men will be here at TV3 premises tomorrow to see who makes it to the final elimination of the Ghana's Strongest. Another interesting sports update right after this. All right, welcome back. Quickly, let me run by you match day 27 fixtures of the Globe Premier League games expected to come off this weekend at the various league centers. Well, so after games have been played so far, just 3 games left to end this season's Globe Premier League. And lying on the top of the Globe Premier League are league defenders Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and they will be going away to play at the Coronation Park this weekend. It's on Sunday, but tomorrow there is a game. The only game tomorrow is at the Carl Randolph Park, and it's between Liberty Professionals, the Dansoman Bay side. They will be taking on Hearts of Lions in that particular fixture. And at the Golden City Park, Brekum Chelsea will be taking on Mediama. Second place and third place, Mediama and Brekum Chelsea there will be battling it out. They all have the same point together with Kumasi Asante Kotoko first, second and third on the Globe Premier League table with 41 points each there. Now let's turn our attention away from that, and at the Gemfi Park, Edubiase will be taking on King Faisal. Alaji Grunses King Faisal side will be taking on Edubiase FC. And at the Coronation Park, Kumasi Asante Kotoko, they are not playing at the Babaya Sports Stadium because of that ban there from the FA Disciplinary Committee. They are taking on Eduana at the Sunyani Coronation Park. And the Robert Mensah Sports Stadium, we will be seeing Ebusia Drops take on
Tema Youth, Ebusia Aduas and Tema Youth there. And the Wild Park All-Stars, will be sharing it with Accra Hearts of Folk in that particular fixture. And Amidao's Professionals will be playing at the Tema Park against Ashgold and Real Tamale United, who've already been relegated. They're still lying bottom of the Globe Premier League. They welcome Arsenal at the Tamale Sports Stadium. Well, let's now shift attention from the Globe Premier League and bring you something on TV3 sports reality show, and it's Ghana's Strongest. It's season 2 of Ghana's Strongest, and Michael Oteje spoke with the challenge commissioners Dan Budu and Foster Bafo ahead of tomorrow's encounter.
What's the deal this Saturday? Was it officially? What are you going to do officially?
You've already said it. That's the final eliminator, and it's on Saturday. We have about 30 contestants, with the exception of last year's winner, that is Faisal Al-Hassan. The rest are going to compete for 16 slots, basically, to determine who would really go or compete and the reality show proper. So basically that's what we're going to do.
This year's show will definitely be better than last year because of the quality of athletes that we have. And we have decided to select about 4 challenges. Out of the 4, maybe 3 will do for the final eliminator.
Also, make sure you make your way down here at TV3 premises tomorrow to ensure that you support your strong men there. Now let's turn our attention away from that past sport and do something on hockey. And 8 out of the 23 teams push off the Dradifua down for Greater Accra Hockey League at the National Hockey Stadium as Seps brace up to redeem their image after losing last week's Gala Trophy to Exchequer. Seps face former champions Trustees of SNIT, while the police team and Seps ladies settled their scores with reformers locking horns with extinguishers of the Ghana Fire Service. Defending senior champions Safoda clashed with Citizens in the last match of the day under floodlights to set the tone for tomorrow's matches. Gala champions Exchequers have a huge task to replicate the fine form they exhibited last weekend as they engage Golden Stakes in one of the big matches for tomorrow. Also on the bill for tomorrow are Police versus Reformers and Multi-Stakes take on NDK Financiers. Away from Ghana and away from hockey, let's now go to something on football. And David Beckham, he will be retiring at the end of the season. And the former England captain made 115 appearances for his country, 394 for Manchester United, winning 6 Premier League titles and Champions League.
Against militant Islamists in the northeastern part of the country, President Jonathan has given the army the right to take all necessary action to put an end to the impunity of insurgents and terrorists. The raids came after states of emergency were declared in Borno, Yobe and Adamawa northeastern states, where 2,000 people have died since Boko Haram launched an insurgency in 2009. Boko Haram, whose name means Western education is forbidden, and the local Hausa language is fighting to overthrow the government and create an Islamic state in the north. Although they often attack Christians and government targets, they've also killed many Muslim civilians. It's now time for entertainment news, and going down this Sunday, May 19, is the grand finale of Talented Kids Season 4. All 8 finalists are eyeing the enviable prize package, a whopping 4,000 cedis, an educational trip to Europe, and a laptop, and many more. But we're asking, who are you rooting for, and why do you think they deserve the ultimate? Osuwarai has been finding out.
I
so the morale is indeed high. Contestants say nothing will distract them from going for the cash.
I am here to educate you on the duties of a queen mother. The first duty of a queen mother is that she instills a king. On the grass, that day no your hustle. It's in the tutu, make a run for
TV3 Entertainment was out and about checking the morale level in town ahead of Sunday's showdown. First port of call was the St. Paul Lutheran School inside Kanda.
Talented kids!
Who would these kids want to win the show and why?
As boys, the reason why I want them to win is how they dance is very nice.
The Rose of Sharon. Tutula Patu, because when he raps, it's very entertaining. I like Amina because I like the way she sings and how she plays her guitar.
Tutula Patu.
S Boys to win.
I like Amina. I like Tutula Patu and Denise Frantic.
But hey, some names stood out.
I actually want X-Boys to win the grand finale.
The crew stepped into the next door school, the Kanda cluster of schools.
Talented kids!
As usual, the enthusiasm was high-pitched.
X-Boys, because they know how to dance very well.
Tutula Patu, because he's the youngest rapper in the world.
On the mic, yo. Now I'm gonna say one name skin tight. The boys more.
If you didn't know, not only the kids enjoy the show, headmistresses do.
Dorothy Apia, headmistress of Kanda Estate 1 and 4 Primary. Yeah, I want Tutula Patu to win.
Our chat with viewers got more interesting when we touched base in Kwame Nkrumah's circle. Who are you rooting for and why should they win?
Tutula Patu, I think he know how to do the thing.
I'm rooting for Gabriel to win the competition because it's made for it. It's very flexible and comfortable and he's entertaining as well.
I've identified Mina. Mina, she's doing very great.
That's more boy normal commentary no. On the mic yo, on the field, on wafa, baby you asa.
Me pe Tutula Patu. Ona me adano.
No.
Ne track here Midday.
Aye, so that is what it is. Those were some views from fans, but hey, remember, judges will make the final decision as to who grabs the ultimate based on performance. Don't miss the action. Talented Kids Grand Finale comes off May 19 at the National Theatre, and you've got to be there. Talented Kids. Interesting predictions over there, but be there at the National Theatre on May 19 to support your favorite contestants to win. That's all for Midday Live. Thanks so much for your company. My name is Bosha Solomon. Good afternoon.